round 13, the Bomber Blitz continued. The Magpies had a very good win, and the Stampede gained momentum once again. It was another huge round. Who better to dissect it all than Gray Morris from NT News on DK and Gray. Gray, another good weekend of footy and another good weekend of footy coming up.
Oh, it was a fantastic round last round. We saw the Magpies continue winning. We saw the Tiwi's resurgence continue, and of course we saw the St Mary's dominance start to take hold. So we're all looking forward to this week.
And I deliberately left them out, Gray, because they were superb on the weekend. It was second versus first, Southern Districts and St Mary's, and St Mary's really proved their class. One man that has class just oozing from him is their skipper, Peter McFarlane. He played some sort of game, Gray.
He did. He was terrific. When they were down a little bit early in the game, he took those important marks, kicked the big goals. Fantastic player is Peter Noodles McFarlane.
Let's have a look at some of the vision from that game as we pick up the action on the half-back flank. We see that St Mary's, they move the ball into the middle of the ground. Who takes the mark? Who else but Peter McFarlane? This is where things are interesting. He's so far up the ground, but they've got options aplenty. Stephen Milne's one. And then, of course, the new recruit, Bonadio, comes in. He's another. And then, if that's not enough, you've got big Darren Ewing. And in the end, that's the direction they go, is to Darren Ewing. He takes the mark. He doesn't finish off on that occasion, but they're just spoilt for choice, Gray.
They've got those important players for the important occasions, Dave.
Well, they take on Palmerston this week, a huge game, 1 o'clock at Gardens on Saturday. Of course, that game has been relocated, but we'll have all the action live on AFLN TV. How do you see that one panning out, Gray?
Should be a beauty. Palmerston are going to be without a couple of players, but they've got big Cameron Cloak back. So a very important game for the Maggies. They're on the verge of a top 3 spot, which is a double chance. They really have to win it, but gee, hard to go past the St Mary's, who are really focused now on playing another final series.
They're two teams in form, which brings us to our next point. Let's have a look at the form ladder from the last 4 rounds, and we can see here that St Mary's are still on top. The Tiwi Bombers and Wanderers just separated by percentage, and maybe a little bit surprising. Then Palmerston, and of course Districts, Buffaloes, Tigers, Waratahs rounding out the form ladder there. But St Mary's first versus fourth on the form ladder, so it should be an interesting game. The Bombers taking on the Buffaloes after that. They're another two teams that are in reasonably good form, Gray.
Yeah, the Bombers, as that ladder would indicate, are in winning form, but they go in against the Buffalo side that's starting to unveil my words before Christmas when I said they can make the finals. Very good against Wanderers last week, but they have to continue it against, as you said, a resurgent and running Tiwi Bombers side. You
mentioned the Bombers and their good run of form. One man that is in form is Willie Rioli, and he gets our DK and Gray Player of the Day. Check it out right now.
Like a fine wine.
Have a look at this. Willie Rioli, there's a fine wine. He goes bang in atrocious conditions. He banks it through from 70 metres out. Oh, what a goal, Willie Rioli.
Well, Willie Rioli, like a fine wine, as we mentioned in the call there, was a brilliant goal, but he won't be with the Bombers this weekend, Gray.
No, he's unavailable. He's going down the ANFL to try out his skills. So all the best there to Willie, but I'm sure the Tiwi fans would love to have him out there this weekend.
Yeah, good luck to Willie Rioli. Good luck to the Buffaloes and, of course, the Tiwi Bombers. But another game on Saturday. Southern Districts taking on Wanderers at home after a little bit of controversy, Gray.
Yeah, a little bit of controversy, as they say. The game was scheduled for TIO Stadium, but like the other 2 games at Gardens, it has been moved. And I'm sure the club smiling best, David, is Southern Districts, who get Wanderers at home for the second time in about 6 weeks.
Well, the last time they played them at home, they destroyed them. Andrew Hodges won't be wanting the history to repeat itself.
Yes, they were beaten by 20 goals almost, wasn't it? It was an annihilation, and I'll certainly be hoping that doesn't happen again, Wanderers. But as you said, they are in winning form, except for last week when they were out-muscled and outplayed by the Buffaloes and Districts, of course, who played rather well themselves. So it should be a terrific game, and I'm sure the rural area people will get down there and have a look.
Yeah, interesting to see. Those are 2 teams that are coming off a loss, and the same thing happens on Sunday. Nightcliff and Waratahs face off, 2 teams absolutely desperate for a win, Gray.
Well, it's interesting to see that Nightcliff have only won 1 of the last 4, which means they've lost their last 3, and I'm sure that wasn't in Damien Hale's planning in the post-Christmas period. So they'll be very, very keen to knock off their old rivals in the Battle of the Beaches, as they call it, Waratahs and Nightcliff. And of course, Waratahs, Dave, as we know, have lost 12 in a row. If any side's going to be very keen for a win in the game of football, it'll be Waratahs.
Yeah, so good luck to both those teams on the weekend, Gray. Both of those teams are desperate for a win, and one of those sides will break the drought, you'd think, unless we have, of course, our third draw of the season, Gray. But
yes.
Let's turn our attention to the ladder, and we can see St Mary's now well clear on top of the ladder, 10 points clear, and a very handy percentage. Districts and Nightcliff now being pursued by the Magpies, Gray.
Yes, as I said earlier, big game for the Maggies. If they can win this, they'll almost jump ahead, or they'll have to win fairly well, wouldn't they, to get ahead of Nightcliff and Districts. But I'm sure Dean Rioli, who, by the way, won't be in charge this weekend, he's down in Melbourne. His daughter has had an operation there at the Royal Children's, so he will leave the coaching duties to the likes of Pierce Little. Leroy Jetta, of course, will probably have some involvement, and so will Elwyn Davey. So it'll be a player-enforced coaching staff.
Interesting, and Buffalo's sitting on the edge of the 5 as well. That win helps, but they're still stuck in 7th position. Even Wanderers are out of the 5 now on percentage, Gray.
Yes, Wanderers, as I said, go down to Fred. That's a big game for them. If they get smashed again, they're going to be in real trouble. They've got Liam Patrick back this week, though. He'll certainly help, and so will young David Cruz on the back flank is back on the side. But they've lost Jared Ellenson, who's out with a hamstring. That's not going to help them at all.
Well, it's the business end of the season, Gray, and we're looking forward to round 14 this week. Make sure that you check the fixture, make sure you turn up at the right ground after the changes during the week. That's it from us here on DK and Gray. Until next week, we will see you on AFL MTV 1 p.m. from Gardens this Saturday, but until then, we'll catch you next week.